Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys That Magic. This is Hunter,
This is Dave.
and we've got our final spoiler day before the weekend. It is May 28th, 2021. And because it's Friday, it's usually a slower day in the old spoiler aspects of it. So this is going to be probably a quick video. But let's just jump.
Thank Christ, because yesterday was like, what, 22 rares or mythics that we got? I can't handle another one of those.
Yeah, they definitely just blew their load on Thursday. But today, seems like it was a bit of a cleanup job. So let's just jump straight into it. We have a new split card? No, we have a reprint of a split card, sorry.
We do. I totally put this in the wrong section. Whoopsies.
This is Fire and Ice. On the first part, Fire is 1 red, 1 generic mana for an instant. It says Fire deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets.
And Ice is 1 and a blue. For an instant, it says tap target permanent, draw a card.
Wow. What do you think of this card being in Modern?
That's cool. That's all I have.
Do you see this having a home?
No, I don't. I think that this might be cute and limited. I like Ice and that it cantrips at least. I don't like Fire ever.
You get to only play one or the other. This is a split card. This is not a Aftermath card.
I mean, okay, so it does not have Fuse, so you are correct. Yes, you cannot cast her both, of which I don't like Fire, and I kind of don't even really like Ice, and I think that 2 kind of like meh cards don't really make a good card, so this is just gonna be a meh. This is what I'm going. This is what I'm going to open 3 copies of in my sealed box whenever we go for a pre-release of this.
Oh, are you getting one?
I mean, if the shop is open to play pre-release, then yeah, I'll go and I'll play. But I'm not just going to buy one to open one.
All right. Well, I think we both agree. Fire and Ice, garbage. It's a cool homage to an old card, but that doesn't mean that the old cards are good in the new style. And this is one of those examples of it not being as powerful as it once was. Moving on, what do we got, Dave?
Oh man, you would give me this one. I'm gonna so fuck this up. We have Sanctifier and Vec. I don't know why the hyphen is there. It's 2 white for a creature, human cleric. It's a 2/2 with protection from black and from red. Whenever it enters the battlefield, exile all cards that are black or red from all graveyards. And if a black or red permanent spell or card not on the battlefield would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. This card is weird as shit.
I want to know why it had to state if a black or red permanent spell or card. Why couldn't it just say card?
Hmm.
Isn't it weird?
I don't know. Somebody smarter than us, let us know in the comments because I don't have a retort for this.
Like, is a permanent and spell not a card? I feel like they are.
Maybe it's just okay. So maybe it's just because like a permanent is technically a spell that has already resolved. I don't know, dude. Permanent spell card. I don't know. Okay, whatever. I'm done.
It's a very weird, like, thing to say. I mean, this card absolutely hates red decks or black decks or red and black decks. Like, it just hates those 2 colors to a point where it might be racist.
And you know what? I think that as a Rakdos player, I think this card is just going to be garbage specifically for that. Nobody should play this. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone, please. I think it's pretty good though. 2 mana for a 2/2. All right, let me rephrase that. I think it's pretty good if you're playing against black or red. Black and red being pretty popular. I'd say someone splashing one of those colors in decks.
So the 2 most popular removal spells in Modern are Lightning Bolt and Fatal Push, and this technically dodges both because it's black and red. So this might actually be kind of a pain in the ass to deal with in terms of removal.
Bingo. I think it's a pretty good card. I am still really confused on the permanent spell or card, but that just means it's got protection. Like, yeah, okay.
We're dumb. We don't know Magic. Somebody help us out.
It's just black or red. That's it. It hates it. Let's just move on.
So next up we have Dam. Dam is black for a sorcery. It says destroy target creature. Creature can't be, or I'm sorry, creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated, and it has overload of 2 white. Overload states that you may cast this spell for its you may cast the spell for its overload cost. Jesus. If you do, change its text by replacing all instances of target with each. So it turns into a board wipe from single target removal. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's pretty. I mean, it is a Wrath of God. It is exactly a Wrath of God. It is a damnation.
It is both.
It is both. It is both a Wrath of God and a damnation.
It's they, them.
It's because they're using both black and white. But it is more Wrath of God because you only pay for the white if you want to do all. Cost 2 mana to destroy a creature otherwise. So I think it's pretty solid. It's I can get it out early to disrupt my opponent's creature, or late game as it drops down, wipes the board.
I don't know. It's cool. I think it needs a very specific deck because typically those decks that are going to be running Wrath of God are normally like blue, white, or Jeskai, which does not run black. So, I mean, if you're running like an Esper control, this could be cool. I still don't like Dam on its own without the overload cost, just because paying 2 black for a sorcery speed removal really sucks, and there are significantly better things that you can be doing in the format. But at the same time, sitting there with like a Wrath of God in your hand and not actually being able to cast it and needing to get rid of a creature, it can be super painful. So, I mean, Dam does have its upsides there too.
I think Dam slots in pretty well in EDH that runs both black and white. I think it's good either way.
Solid.
If you need to deal with an opponent that's being pesky with their one creature, kill it. If you need to deal with a board and say, let's start over, do that too. And someone at the table will probably just say, damn.
It reminds me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to be honest with you. Damn.
Damn. What do we got next, David?
Whew, okay, next up we have Endurance. Endurance is 1 green for a creature elemental incarnation. It's a 3/4 with flash and reach and states when Endurance enters the battlefield, up to 1 target player puts all the cards from their graveyard on the bottom of their library in a random order. It has Evoke of exile a green card from your hand. Alrighty, let me hear it. What are your thoughts on this? And why do you not like it?
I'll tell you why I not like it. I think it is the weakest out of all of the evoke cards they've shown us. It doesn't do much. I mean, okay, it deals with just a couple decks. Other than that, if you're not running into those decks, this card does nothing. And those decks I'm talking about are Reanimator decks and Mill decks. I think, like, if you're running against an opponent that's running Mill against you, you put your graveyard back into your library. If you're running an opponent that's running a Reanimator deck, you screw them by throwing it all back in their library. Other than that, I don't see it working against anything other than those couple of decks. What do you think?
I think you are completely wrong on every level, and I am absolutely opposite of you on this. This is why I love this. All right. So I think this is actually one of the best ones of this cycle, and I'm going to throw it out there. I think that people are going to rush out and they're going to jam the white one and they're going to jam the blue one as much as they possibly can. And I actually do think that the blue one is still better than this. However, I already talked about my issues with the white version of this cycle. Now this one, first off, it's 3 mana for a 3/4 with flash and reach. It has by far the best stats in terms of like stat to mana value ratio out of any of this cycle so far. It coming down as a flash 3/4 has the potential to just outright kill one of your opponent's creatures. That means that this one actually doesn't need to necessarily be cast for its evoke cost. This can come down as a creature, whereas I feel the majority of the other ones that we've seen so far, you're going to be evoking it 90% of the time. So you're going to be 2-for-1 yourself, whereas this actually doesn't 2-for-1 yourself in a lot of circumstances. And those circumstances where you do need to 2-for-1 yourself, you're playing this up against a graveyard deck, and I know that sounds very specific until, wait a second, you start to actually look at the modern meta and you realize graveyard decks make up like half the meta. This card is really, really good. Now, I don't think this card is going to be main boardable at all. I think this is definitely a sideboard option, but I think it's a very strong sideboard option. This really fucks over decks like Dredge. It messes with Living End. It messes with Reanimator decks. It messes with Arclight, the Arclight Phoenix decks. It turns any kind of graveyard deck, or it just shuts those down, at least temporarily. I also love the fact that it tucks those cards on the bottom of their library in a random order, because I feel like that just makes it so much more of a pain in the ass for them to be able to get their combo moving again. I also really love this card whenever it comes to EDH. So for those of you who play at higher power tables, this fucks over anybody who's playing like a Tainted Pact or Demonic Consultation combo. So those being like the Thassa's Oracle combos, because you can get them to reshuffle their graveyard. In the case that they do that, their graveyard's going to go back into their deck after this Tainted Pact or Demonic Consultation ends up resolving. And then Thassa's Oracle goes off on the stack, and it says it doesn't win the game because you actually still have a deck. So it fizzles their combo. I also love the fact that this does not die to artifact removal, which is what typically is going to be played or sideboarded in for graveyard decks. So if a deck is graveyard centric, they're probably going to be packing in for game 2 and game 3 some kind of artifact removal to deal with your hate pieces. But this actually doesn't die to those. And in fact, actually, you don't even need this to be a creature, because you can evoke it. You can just have it enter and then immediately die and still deal with their graveyard. The other reasons why I really love this card is because it doesn't actually die to some of the more common removal spells in Modern. This is a 3/4. This thing survives a bolt. And it has 3 mana value, which means that Fatal Push at least has to do a little bit of legwork. Given that, yeah, okay, you're playing Modern, chances are they're probably going to have a fetch, so they'll still be able to turn on the Revolt. But there might still be some circumstances where they can't. I think this card is significantly better than what it reads. I think that it immediately finds homes within Modern in a sideboard. And I think that this is very good in high power EDH tables.
Well, I will agree with you in terms of it being great for a 3/4 with flash. 3 mana. I was talking in the last video how I wanted the white one to have better stats, and it would have been better. These stats blow that out of the water.
Yeah, the white one is what, 5 mana for a 3/2? This kills the white one.
It's a 3/1, actually.
Oh, it's a 3/1. It's worse than what I thought.
No, it's a 3/2. Yeah, you're right.
All right, sweet. Haha.
Yeah, this one definitely blows it out of the water. But I don't think it's. I mean, I understand everything that you just said about this card and how it's going to be good against all those decks and how it's going to be good as a staple in a lot of decks. But I think time will tell, and I really want to do a video about how it's going to call 1 month later and see if these cards are making an impact. So I say we'll see, man.
I would love that. I think within the first month, everybody's still going to be riding high on the Swords to Plowshares version of this card, but I think over time, people are going to start to gravitate and start to realize the value of this thing.
Okay. Maybe we'll do a 1 month later, 1 year later video.
There we go. Give me some time. Gotta watch me blossom and grow. All right, what do we got next?
Moving on, we got Cauldra Complete. This is 7 mana that is generic for a legendary artifact equipment. It is a living weapon. It has indestructible. It says equipped creature gets +5/+5 and has first strike, trample, indestructible, haste, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature. Equipped 7.
Yep.
That is a very expensive living weapon. And the question is, how is it a living weapon when it doesn't say attach it to itself?
So living weapon in and of itself, by the way, just to go ahead and clarify that real quick, means it's going to create a 0/0 germ token that immediately equips this onto it whenever it enters the battlefield.
Got it.
So if you play this for its normal 7 CMC there, like it's going to come down, it will have a body immediately attached to it. And that body
is going to be a
card
5/5 first strike, trample, indestructible, haste.
Yeah, it's got keyword soup on this thing.
I think it's pretty cool, but it's very expensive.
Very expensive. I actually think that there's already better options out there in Modern. I think the Batterskull is a better option for those of you out there who are playing the oh my god, Stoneforge Mystic decks. Thank you. I don't know why I blanked on that for a moment. It's cool in that we get Cauldra, which is it alludes to a bunch of different equipment from forever ago.
Yeah.
I don't
I think
think
it.
this card is good.
I think it finds a home in artifact commander decks.
But
I think
there's
it's
a couple of artifact commanders out there that don't they have like you can pay 0 to equip instead or something like that.
bingo.
So in that very specific realm, I think this card is dope. Outside of
Yeah.
that, if you're paying 7 mana to play this and 7 mana to equip it, like what are you doing with your life?
I'm going to use 14 mana to put this on my creature. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
no.
going to happen. I think it's dope. I think it's dope in EDH, but I agree with you on Modern. This is never, ever seeing play in Modern.
I think even in EDH, it's very, very specific. It slots in only whenever you can equip that thing for free.
I think it's pretty dope. We did get another commander, though. I mean,
Planeswalker.
we did get another Planeswalker today. What is that Planeswalker, David?
Gaia Drone? I don't know how to read this. I think that's wrong.
Gaia Drone?
Gaia
Gia. How
Drone.
about Gia?
Ooh, I like that. Let's go with that. Gaia Drone Dahada. Oh god. Fuck, everything about this is hard. All right. So she is 1, a blue, a black, and a red for a legendary planeswalker. She comes in with 4 loyalty, and she has an ability on her that says protection from permanents with corruption counters on them. She has a +1 with each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Put a corruption counter on up to 1 other target creature or planeswalker. She has a -3 that says gain control of target creature or planeswalker until end of turn. Untap it and put a corruption counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn. She also has a -7 of gain control of each permanent with a corruption counter on it. That's a lot of text. What are your thoughts?
I think it's pretty dope. I like the corruption counter idea, and where she's like, all right, I'm gonna put a corruption counter on this big guy, and I'm not gonna be able to get hit by it now.
Yeah, I think
I
she's
think it's.
really scary.
I think she's dope. I think it would be cooler if there was an ability that was a little better, where you can like, well, because its ultimate is gain control of each permanent with a corruption counter on it. You have to keep plussing her to get those corruption counters.
Dude, I think that's honestly part of the reason why she's so good, though. I mean, so she has protection from anything with a corruption counter on it. So, like, you neuter their biggest threat. Given that, okay, that creature, it still can hurt you. Like, it can still get in for damage, but it's not going to hurt her. It's not going to drop her loyalty. So, like, if you play her, so like best case example, for example, is like you play her and you plus her and target the only creature they own. Then like maybe next turn they drop 1 more creature and you plus her and you target the only creature they own. So she's going to be gaining you life and she's hurting your opponent. So she's draining for 2 every time she pluses, which is going to help you stay alive. And she's also protecting herself in the process. She's going to make it to where, hey, you know what? You might be able to actually get to that -7. Or at worst case scenario, you can drop her. You can -3. You can swing in or do some silly shenanigans with whatever creature you ended up stealing, and it still gets a corruption counter on it. So it's still going to have. It's still not going to be able to interact with her later on in the game. Now for modern, I think she's too slow, but for EDH, I think she's pretty powerful.
I think the exact opposite. I think for EDH, she's absolutely garbage. The reason I say that, let's say you're playing a 4-person EDH deck or EDH table. Usually, Planeswalker hate is a very real thing at the table. Whenever anybody plays a Planeswalker, that's like almost target number 1.
Bullshit. I have
You
watched you sit there and have James Ultimate Narset against me so many fucking times.
That wasn't me. However, I will say this: you +1 her on your turn. which creatures of the 3 opponents that you have is going to protect against her. That's 1 out of a possibility of how many creatures on the field. She's probably going to die by the other creatures, man.
I still like her. I don't know. I think she does a pretty decent job of protecting herself. I think that I don't know. I'm just going to restate the things that I've already said. I do get your point, though, that like if there are multiple creatures in play, she does become less good the more threats she's facing.
Plus, you're plussing. You're also making every opponent lose some life. So all your opponents are like, no, I don't want that again. They're going to try to kill it.
I mean, how much is a drain of 2? Because like I play combo against you guys, and you just go fucking nutty with it, and I don't think you guys actually pay attention at how many times I drain you for 2. And that's literally the exact same thing that she's going to be doing.
I
Actually, she's
understand that.
significantly slower at doing it too.
I understand that. But another drawback is that if my opponent sees me putting a what is it called? A corruption counter on a creature that is pretty terrifying, I'm going to look at that and say, oh, I don't want you to have that. I know what that card does. I don't want you to get that eventually.
Yeah, I
I
can
don't
see
know.
that. I don't know. Maybe we disagree. Maybe this is something that I need a little bit more in like practice actually playing around with for me to get a better gauge of this.
Hey, run it in a deck and I'll let you know.
There you go.
All right. Let's move on to some quick reprints from the set. First things first, what do we got? Dave.
We have Titania Prector. Whoa!
Try it again.
We have Titania, Protector of Argoth. She is 3 green. She's a legendary creature elemental. She also has, when Titania, Protector of Argoth enters the battlefield, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. She herself is also a 5/3.
Yeah, she's very good in EDH. I have her in my Lord Windgrace deck. Thank you very much for giving her to me.
Yeah, no
I,
problem.
I appreciate that, friend. Overall, I think I don't know if she's going to see a lot of play in Modern, but she is a well-needed reprint as she's $25. So,
I don't know. She's 5 mana, but at the same time, I mean, like you're playing with like if you're putting her in like a scape shift deck, that could get really gnarly. Plus, Modern is playing fetches already, so you're gonna have a lot of lands go to the graveyard all the time. I can definitely see her fitting into a deck. I think that her costing 5 mana to begin with is a very real restriction. But in those big mana decks in like Scape Shift, they drop much bigger threats than a 5-drop. So like I can see this.
yeah. I mean, I can also see it. You made your points. I agree with you now. The whole
Converting
fetches
each other
and
to each other's ways.
exactly. But a lot of those times, shocks and fetches are early game, and
I
you
mean,
don't get her till turn 5.
fetches are great all the time. You're not going to get her on turn 5. You're going to be doing a little bit of ramping before then.
Okay, we'll go with that. Moving on, we got Vindicate. Vindicate is 1 a white, a black, destroy target permanent. Basic as fuck.
I still love this card. I think this card is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good card. Good removal spell.
This
Just
thing
destroy
can
someone's land of your green.
destroy. Yep, it can destroy lands.
Yep. Just go ahead and say, and your favorite land's gone.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
you can only produce green with that one land? Now you can't produce any green. Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a good card. Good reprint.
I think it's
I
too
like it.
slow for modern. I still love Vindicate. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. And the new art that they have for like the borderless version, super cool too.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of all the art so far in this set. I'm very excited for the art cards, more than you realize. Moving on, we got Braids, Cabal Minion. That is 2 black, 2 generic mana for a 2/2. She says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacks an artifact, creature, or land. Yep.
It's cool that she's getting a reprint.
Got them crazy eyes, man.
Fuck yeah, she does, man. Gonna
She's gonna
cut your
kill you.
dick off.
She gonna make you sack your stuff.
We went in two very different directions with that.
I mean, sack, dick, similar.
Sack dick, dude. All
Moving
right,
on. What do we got?
next up, we have Karmic Guide. Karmic Guide is 3 white for a creature angel spirit. It's a 2/2 with flying and protection from black. It also has Echo of 3 white. Echo states that at the beginning of your upkeep, if this came under your control, since the beginning of your last upkeep, sacrifice it unless you pay its Echo cost. It also states that whenever Karmic Guide enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Yep.
It's a cool card, and I've seen a lot of people right now talking about Ephemerate. Specifically actually with like all the new evoke cards that are out there. So Ephemerate is going to flicker that creature, and you're going to be able to take advantage of its ability an additional time. Or you could evoke it, and then with the trigger on the stack for whichever one of these like 5, we haven't seen the red one yet, but I'm assuming that red's going to get one as well. Whichever one of those like 5 incarnations, you can cast Ephemerate on it, which will flicker it out, which means that it'll actually come back in as a different permanent, so you'll still get the creature portion of it as well, even though you have evoked it, and you'll get 2 of its abilities going up instead of just 1. So I've seen a lot of people really high on Ephemerate. Karmic Guide works really well with that as well.
Yeah. A lot of people excited about Karmic Guide coming to Modern. It's a good card. A lot of people I've seen a lot of people talk about it.
It is a good card. I think it's going to take some people who are smarter than me to figure out how to make this thing work in Modern. I see the potential. I see some limitations, but I do see the potential.
Yeah, it definitely has potential. And that's it. That is the spoilers for today, May 28th, 2021. Overall, Dave, what'd you think about today's spoilers? Did they keep knocking it out of the park? Or was it just kind of like, eh?
I think today was very much a Friday. I think that today we got like 1 or 2 cards that I'm really excited about, but for the most part, I kind of just like we toned things back down a little bit, which is normally what they will do on Fridays of spoiler season, anyways. I would expect Monday to probably be absolute insanity again.
I don't know. Monday's a holiday. We'll see if they keep doing spoiler seasons during holidays.
I totally forgot that Monday is a holiday.
Rumor has it last day is June 1st, which is Tuesday. So
Interesting.
we'll see. But overall, I think this set as a whole so far has been crushing it. There has been talks that it could be one of the top 10 sets of all time.
Definitely nutty.
I don't know about that, but it definitely has lots of power to it. We will be back whenever they do the next day of spoilers, talking about all that. We do have the weekend off of spoiler season, thank God. It has been hectic as shit. Until next time, this is Guys at Magic. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Hit the like button also. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. That's Guys That Magic on both. And yeah, hope you guys have a great day.
Yeah. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Later.
Bye.